When President Biden addressed the nation from the White House, he was at pains to point out that COVID is down in all 50 of the U.S. states. He said when figures are published later on Tuesday, they will show that 60% of Americans have now been vaccinated with at least one dose. He called that a logistical achievement. But it is far from herd immunity, and the president is looking for 70% of Americans to have at least one dose by the time we get to the major public holiday of July the 4th in just under 2 months' time. The president said he was concerned about pockets around the country where too few people were vaccinated, and he urged people to get vaccinated, saying it is at least free, and the ride-hailing services like Uber, for example, will take you to a vaccination site for free. The president is also planning to ramp up the distribution of vaccines from here overseas to countries where they don't have enough of it. He's talking about 20 million doses, rising to 80 million doses to be distributed overseas in the course of the next 6 weeks and beyond, including all of the AstraZeneca vaccine, which the US has in storage, but which has not yet been approved for emergency use here in the United States. Here's more of what President Biden had to say.
This means over the next 6 weeks, the United States of America will send 80 million doses overseas. That represents 13% of the vaccines produced by the United States by the end of June. This will be more vaccines than any country has actually shared to date.
The issue of whether these drug companies should give up their patents in order to make these vaccines locally to help countries overseas is a big topic at the World Trade Organization at the moment. It was in the headlines just a couple of weeks ago. The president made no mention of that in his address from the White House. Here in New York, things are really beginning to open up now. We've got the subway back open 24/7 for the first time in just over a year. It was closed originally between 1 and 5 and then between 2 and 4 for deep cleaning, the first time it's ever been closed in its history. Now it's back on 24/7. This will help lower paid workers in particular who need to move around the city in the early hours, often to go to the first of several jobs that they have during the day. The governor of New York State, Andrew Cuomo, says he'll lift most of the mask restrictions in the state on Wednesday, but if you're traveling on public transit, the subway or the buses, you will still need to wear a mask. Next in this city comes a big advertising campaign called Take the Bus or Take the Train to try and encourage riders to get back on board public transit. The subway was down 90% at the height of the COVID era. Last week, 2 million people rode the subway on just one day, but that is down from the 5 million who used to ride it every day before COVID-19. John Terrett, CGTN, New York.